Hey folks, ThriceRisen here with a quick vlog-style update on some stuff. What stuff, you ask? Well, I mean, there's plenty of stuff here in this camera frame to qualify as stuff. So what stuff is this? This is the Magic the Gathering Arena of the Planeswalkers, and the Arena of the Planeswalkers Shadow over Innistrad expansion. So what are these? It's a couple of board games made by Wizard of the Coast and Hasbro. I actually am not certain who makes these miniatures, who they have sourced, if it's Hasbro directly or if it's some subsidiary company. The box just says Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, as far as I can tell. So it's a hex-based game. I have not played it, so if you're looking for a detailed description of how the game works, I'm the wrong guy to talk to, because I haven't played this game. I don't know if I ever will play this game. So why do I have all these miniatures? Because the Arena of the Planeswalkers was $10. We found it for $10, like clearance or something. And then the Shadows over Innistrad, I can't say that word apparently, it's enchanted and emerald-cooled. The Shadows over Innistrad expansion was also $10. So all these miniatures that you see in this frame right here, $20. $20 for all of this. And those of you who know me know I love miniatures. I collect miniatures. My wife paints miniatures. Miniatures are a thing that I enjoy. Ever since I was a kid, I collected Star Wars Micro Machines and things like that. I ended up selling a lot of them. It's something I still regret. But I collect miniatures. So the opportunity to get this many miniatures for $20 was something I didn't want to pass up. Also, they're Magic the Gathering miniatures, which is something that really doesn't exist anywhere else. So I figured we'd take a crack at them. Now, the thing about these miniatures, though, is there's a reason the games are $10 a piece. Is I don't think they're doing that well. I found them both on clearance, which is a shame, because I think if they had put a little more work into these, they could have been something really special. Let's take a look at, let's just grab one here and get her into focus. So here we have an elf. We have an elf. And the sculpt isn't the worst I've seen, but it's not that really spectacular. Now some of the sculpts, they work with the design, like these elementals. With these elementals aren't too bad. But some of them are a little derpy. Like where's a derpy one? Let's just grab. The elves are a little meh. Well, here's one from the Shadows of Innistrad. It's the Necro Alchemist, and you can see that the sculpt is really not that exciting. It's very smooth, kind of rounded edges, not a lot of sharp detail, a bit of like warping on the model there. Stretch marks, if you will. So the miniatures aren't, gonna win awards for quality. This goes double for the actual Planeswalkers. As you can see, there's Jace, Gideon, Chandra, Nissa, Liliana, Arlencord, Sorin, and Nahiri. They're definitely not going to win awards for those. Why? Well, let's take a look at them. Let's look at Liliana. Whoa. Yeah, the paint jobs on these miniatures, Chandra's okay, but some of the paint jobs on these things are, they're pretty horrifying. And the sculpt, some of the sculpts are okay. I might be forgiving of the sculpts just because they're such an iconic character, but Sorin looks a little derpy. Gideon looks very derpy. Find my hand here. There's Chandra. The Nissa sculpt is okay. Again, the painting is bad. The Liliana is probably the worst. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a hand or what that's supposed to be in, or if it's a skull. The Phoenixes, now those are cool. The Phoenixes look pretty alright, even if their heads are a little wonky. The Arlencord The Arlen Cord sculpt is okay, as the paint jobs universally are pretty damning across all of them. So, extra Jaces, and illusions, and fire cats, elementals, elves, hunters, werewolves, holding hands. Some core, some rocks, Loxodons, some Abyssinian corrupted priest, and Avacyn herself. Now that's going to be a fun one to talk about. We'll come back to that. Some vampires, some Geists. The Geists are actually pretty cool. The transparent miniatures they cover up a lot of the sins. So we got some zombies, got some more zombies, some Liliana's Reavers. We have in the back here some like Abyssinian cultists, or some Emrakulian cultists with the staff there, and then like a Mad Prophet type character. So that's the range that we're looking at. So, talking about Avacyn, and this kind of segues into another reason why we bought these miniatures. In vacuum, these miniatures wouldn't be terribly interesting, like if they weren't Magic the Gathering miniatures. All right, let's talk about why I bought these. If they weren't Magic the Gathering miniatures, I would never have bought miniatures of this quality. You know, the Phoenixes maybe, because they're kind of just a unique sculpt. You don't find too many Phoenixes, and the Ghosts might be interesting. But I have no real need of zombies. The werewolves are also maybe sort of rare, but most of these are things I would not care to buy. The fact that it has Magic the Gathering slapped on top is a huge compulsion to buy these. The other compulsion is that, as mentioned previously, my wife does paint miniatures. So we're going to take these guys. Okay, so no one wants to be in focus today. So we're going to take these guys, and we're going to paint them up, and we're going to do some stuff to it. So talking about Avacyn, that's another interesting reason to purchase these things. Oh, there we go. There's a little bit of focus. So the sculpt is actually not too terrible here on Avacyn. And we're going to paint her up like Avacyn, and it'll be pretty cool. So the lure of these miniatures is not in their starting quality, it's in the fact that I know that my wife can probably give them a lot of better justice. We're probably going to actually strip the paint off of all of the hero characters and just start fresh. Maybe take some pictures so we can get an idea of the color palette, and then we're just going to start over and paint them up and try to give them good, proper justice. Another cool thing that this came with is I don't use hexes in anything that I run as far as games, but these cryptoliths, those are cool. And I'm definitely going to be using those in some capacity in games of Pathfinder and role-playing and things like that. And even as wargaming terrain, those are great. So yeah, a brief review of the Magic the Gathering Arena of the Planeswalkers board game and singular expansion. There's a third expansion out there that has to do with Zendikar. More specifically, it has Ob Nixilis in it, and I can't remember what else is in there, but I'm pretty sure it has some Eldrazi, and it has Ob Nixilis, and for the life of me can't remember what else is in there. So we're trying to track that down. It's actually been pretty hard to find because, like I said, I don't think this has done very well commercially, so Hasbro's just kind of quietly letting it die, which is a shame because I've, for a long time, said that we need, or I would really love to have, Magic the Gathering miniatures. And so for this to kind of die like this seems really disappointing. Now, I've heard rumors, and these rumors, I can't remember how official they are. I read an article that said that Hasbro is probably going to be partnering with WizKids to make some Magic the Gathering miniatures, but also focusing specifically on tokens. And if that is true, and I can't remember if it was an official press release that I read or not, my memory's a bit fuzzy. But if that's true, that sounds exciting to me because those are some miniatures, the Hasbro Wizards, if you're listening, that my wallet will fling itself at you for. because there's such potential in these miniatures. Like, if the sculpts were just a little bit cleaner, I really think it could be really exciting. I mean, like I said, look at this Geist. The sculpt on this is actually pretty decent. And by pretty decent, I mean it approximates like Reaper Bones. Okay, so Reaper Bones is not, you know, again, it's not award-winning, but it's better than... that's the sad thing, is a lot of these miniatures I would consider to be at the very low end of Reaper Bones quality. Like here is a Firecat. That's not too bad. It has kind of like an Okami vibe, if I'm being honest. But the Firecat's not too bad. Again, they're like... The overwhelming sentiment is they're not great, but some of them are like surprisingly not too bad. But I wish they could be better. Alright, so that's a brief update on this. And just to shoehorn a couple other things in here, some other Christmas loot that I neglected to mention. We have these white dragons, Dungeons & Dragons miniatures. So we have a medium, a large, and then a huge white dragon. There's the medium. So white dragons, if you're interested in like a campaign where a white dragon is a common foe, you might have it like follow the life cycle. Well, if you have especially long-lived players, maybe all your players are elves, or like some other immortal whatever, and the white dragon is their nemesis, just spitting out ideas. Another cool thing I got were these item cards. They have, you know, descriptions of the item. These are from Paizo. So there's all kinds of stuff, like really basic whistles, magnifying glasses, bells, candles, sickles. They have armor, weapons, equipment, gear. So that's a cool little stack of things that I'm going to use in probably my next campaign. So to keep track of what loot the players have, I'll just say, here, you have this breastplate. And that way it'll be an easy way to keep track of what's going on there. So I want to get more of these. They make a lot of them, so some of them are harder to find because they're older and out of print, but I want to get them. Last but not least, we have this really cool miniature that we got off of Etsy. It's totally not Corvo Attano from the Dishonored series. This guy is really neat. Excellent sculpt. Probably too excellent. So, let me see if I can control my shaky hands a little bit. Why is this too excellent? Well, because the sculpt is so finely detailed, it's actually very fragile. If you'll look over here, you can see we've done a lot of repair work to the blade, and it's just like barely hanging on there. Again, full props. I believe it's 3D printed. Full props to the artist. If it's not 3D printed, I apologize to the artist. But the fact is, the sculpt is so finely detailed that real-world physics cause it to be very fragile. But he does a lot of cool other sculpts, like a Alucard from Helsing, a lot of Warhammer sculpts. There's an Etsy shop. Again, the name escapes me, but you could probably find it if you are savvy internet searchers. Alright, so that is the update on some miniatures and cool stuff that has been obtained. Let me see if I can pull back all the way here. Okay, there it is. There it is. Alright, ThriceRisen. Until next time, catch you later, guys.